Hey everyone, welcome back to Rain City Wargaming. I'm Garrett, and I'm going to a tournament for 40K. Big shocker. I'm going to the first annual Noobhammer Charity RTT. If you don't know, Noobhammer is a Grey Knights and Deathwatch focused YouTube channel. It's run by a good friend of mine named Rick. I was invited to go to this tournament, and so was Graham and Stefan from One Last Blade. I'll have all of the channels linked down in the comments. Please go check them out. They're fantastic folk. There's one small problem with that, and I didn't have an army at the time. So I frantically spent 3 weeks building and painting a full 2,000 point army. I got 2 practice games in, and then drove all the way down. All right, and here is my army that I'm bringing for the event. I'm running, obviously, Space Marines. I'm doing the Blood Angels Sons of Sanguinius detachment. Though these aren't Blood Angels, these are my Stormbringers. These are the homebrew Marines that I've spent way too long writing a lot of useless lore about. I have this really dumb kind of purple, bronze, and this super dark blue paint scheme that I'm a really big fan of. Turned out pretty well. So let's go over the list here real quick. So first of all, I have Dante. Not really Dante. It's the Dominion Zephyr model that I've put on a 50mm base, and I'm running as Dante. He's accompanied by 10 Sanguinary Guard that are actually Inceptors, and one of them broke in transit. Rip that guy. They all have plasma pistols and carmine blades, and one of them is supposed to have a banner, but that broke off somewhere along the way as well. I have 5 Intercessors. The Sergeant has a Thunderhammer, and I do have a grenade launcher in the unit as well. I've got 2 units of 5 Hellblasters, one of them here with an Apothecary, the other one has a Lieutenant. I'll point that out when I get there. And they're each riding in Impulsors, and the Impulsors have the Missile Rack, the Stubber, and then the 2 Sword Bolters. Coming over this way, I have 1 Repulsor with a Las Talon and Twin Las Cannon. And inside are 6 Flamer Aggressors, because Flamers are fun, and Overwatch is a stratagem that exists. And rounding out the list here is a Knight Warden. He's got the Fist, the Gatling Cannon, a Stubber, ignore that, it's actually a multi-laser, and then the Rocket Pod. Over here is the 2nd Hellblaster squad with the Lieutenant, and that Lieutenant's actually the first model I painted for the Stormbringers, so very proud of her. My overall thought with this list is I have a lot of anti-elite infantry in the 2 Hellblaster squads and then the Sanguinary Guard. And then I have a little bit of anti-chaff with the Aggressors there and the Impulsors as well. And the Knight is there for mostly tank shock, actually, with the big fist. 22 dice on 5s and 6s is guaranteed 6 mortal wounds just about every time. That's quite nice. And then I have a little bit of extra anti-tank in the Repulsor. So the tournament is in basically Portland, Oregon. And that's a 3-hour drive here from Seattle. And I, in my infinite wisdom, have not booked a hotel or reached out to friends down there and be like, hey, can I stay for the night? The tournament starts at 10. So my big ingenious plan is wake up at 4:30 in the morning, drive 3 hours down to Portland, and then hopefully get something to eat for breakfast. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting, challenging trip. I'm currently at a rest stop and it's 7:45. I've got a little while to go. If I haven't mentioned it already, this tournament is for charity. It's for Extra Life. I've not done many Warhammer tournaments. I think I've done 2 for 40K. I've done more tournaments for Kill Team. I'm gonna drive into Camus, and hopefully find somewhere to get some breakfast. You know, I'm feeling pretty good for somebody that got either 0 sleep or 2 hours of sleep. Sun's up, it hurts, it's bright. Well, I made it. We're here. It's already pretty lively. I got here stupidly early as I usually do. It's not quite 9. Changed to my jersey. Graham and Stefan are here. They're way over that way. They're waving. We're setting up all the tables and whatnot. Everybody's vibing. It's cool. So they've got these really cool, like, massive ass TVs. That's supposed to have like the stream up, but it has our mission. It's got like the primary and the secondary, which is really cool, and our terrain layout and all that shit, which is really rad. We've got just a fuck ton of tables and terrain. Super rad. Well, it's after the tournament at 7 p.m. Didn't record during a lot of the tournament. The GoPro kept overheating, so I really couldn't record all that much, unfortunately. But I went 1 and 2. I won game 1, which was pretty cool. I got 69 points, nice. Game 2, I lost horribly. And game 3, I lost less horribly. The thing I learned about my list is I need anti-tank. I don't have enough of it. What I have is a repulsor with 3 las cannons. That's just not enough damage. That's not enough output. The other thing I have is the Knight. The Knight Warden in melee, specifically with tank shock. I'll roll 22 dice against the game, and it's a guaranteed 6 mortal wounds. And then I get a fight after that. But again, that's just not enough. That's just not enough. So, how did the event go? Game 1, I ended up going into Imperial Guard, and Tom, my opponent, had a great list. It was super fluffy. He was a fantastic person to play with. We both were like, we don't really know the 10th rules too much. Let's just have fun and, really just have a good time. I know he had a Bane hammer with the Quake cannon. It does flat 4 damage and explodes vehicles on a 3-up instead of a 6, which big spooky into my list. And he had a couple Leman Russes. He had a Leman Russ tank commander with a Demolisher, the Executioner with the autocannon, and a Vanquisher, if I recall. He had a Scout Sentinel with a las cannon, I think, and Leontis with a command squad and something else, a Valkyrie, and some Ogren. And we were playing on the Ritual. So neither of our lists really want to do the Ritual. I have all my stats up still, which is nice. And he scored 5 points on primary and I scored 30. So none of us really wanted to do the action to do the actual Ritual thing. And neither of us could hold the middle. The only reason I was able to win was he decided to say fuck secondaries for the first 3 turns, more or less, just didn't do secondaries at all. And I was like, I gotta do secondaries because I can't do primary. And I was able to sneak out some cheeky Ritual actions to have secondaries on my side of the table, which I was controlling. Hard game. My Sanguinary Guard ended up charging into his Bane Hammer, Bane Sword, whichever one it is, and just lifted it off the table. And that's really where I started to learn that my Sangard are really, really good at that. They're just fantastic at just taking something and removing it from the field as long as they can touch it in melee. Hitting on 2s with -1 to wound and -1 to hit is really rough. I had a great time with Tom. Beautifully painted army, absolutely gorgeous. And so I go into round 2, 1-0, which big feeling, good ups. And round 2, I end up pairing into Norm in his Chaos Knights. I didn't quite know at the time that was basically just GG, go next. But I got absolutely fucking dumpstered that game. Oh, did I get just shreked. So Norm brought the Rampager, the one with the Volcano Cannon. He had a Volcano Cannon Chainsword, that was the Warlord. He also had a Knight Lancer, which was really cool. First time I actually played against one on the table. And then a fuck ton of little War Dogs. He took behind enemy lines and engage in all fronts as fixed secondaries, and I made the mistake of not taking Bring It Down and then something else. I would have maxed Bring It Down turn 2, which would have been nuts. But I took fixed. I scored 8 points on secondary, and then 5 on primary, and I had 10 points for being a painted army. We were playing on Mission E, so it's sweeping engagement at the weird corners with Chosen Battlefield, with Taking Hold as our primary. I made the choice of being scared of his big knights and killing them immediately, which in hindsight, not the way to go. How he scores points is with the armatures. So if I'm able to pick off 3 or 4 of those armatures, I would have had a much easier time scoring points. Turn 1, I was able to take out the Lancer. I was able to kill it. I brought in the Knight, did Tank Shock. I was able to, punch at it with the aggressors and the Lance and lethal hits on the charge and Red Rampage. That strategy was really good, turns out. I think I made a tactical mistake at the end of turn 1. Once the Lancer was dead, I spent a CP, have a 6-inch consolidate, and I wanted to get onto the point, onto his home objective, but I was just in range to base one of his War Dogs, so I had to. Turn 2, he basically shot everything into the Night Warden and killed him. On my turn, I was like, well, you left me a gap in the back here for me to put my Sanguinary Guard and Dante. I spent the turn shooting everything into the Rampager, got it down to 8 wounds, and then charged in with Sangard and Dante and was able to kill it. Next, lost a bunch of them in his turn due to shooting. In my turn, I needed to get them into melee again with something else. Oh, with this third character to get Assassination. And I failed my charge, even with a +1 and a reroll. The game was already over at that point. The game was over at the end of turn 1. I played that really poorly. I think that's the first time I've actually played any Chaos Knights ever. So I kind of got wrecked, which is fair. It's fine. Game 3, I actually don't have stats on because I deleted them. I went into Jacob. Jacob was playing Gene Stealer Cults. A fantastic player. He had some great painted models and some great jokes in them as well. But aberrants are fucking ridiculous. So his list was 3 Saboteurs, 2 trucks, 2 squads of 10 aberrants with a abominant in each. He had 1 DJ Calamity holding his back objective, because why wouldn't you? And a Bane Sword, or Bane Hammer, whichever one has the Quake Cannon that does 4 damage and makes vehicles explode on 3s. That one. Basically Muscle Beach. And if you've never played an Aberrants, they're T6 with 3 wounds, a 5-up save, and a 5-up Feel No Pain. Their ability, though, is if you are stronger, if your weapon is stronger than they are tough, you have -1 wound. It's the new transhuman physiology. And on something that's T6, that feels really, really bad. Because I'm shooting at something with strength 7 or strength 8, or hitting them with power fists from my aggressors, which are strength 8, and instead of winning on 3s, I'm still winning on 4s, or I'm wounding you on 4s. I don't really remember much of this game besides it was hidden supplies, so extra objectives, and servo skulls, which was awful. My army, my list, does not do very well into missions that require me to do actions, because I don't have action monkeys. I don't have the points for it, and I don't really have the ability to. If I sacrifice my shooting to do these actions, then I'm kind of SOL. That's what everybody was playing, so that's what we played. And he forward deployed his aberrants basically 9 inches outside of my deployment zone, and my knight was on the other side of a wall, and I was like, it's safe from the shooting of the big scary thing that makes it explode real good. I didn't get first turn, and he walked the aberrants in and charged my knight, blew it up. He overkilled it by like almost 50%, if I recall correctly. We were laughing the entire time. We had an absolute blast. It was a great game, one of the most fun games of 10th edition I've ever had. We had a blast, and he scored 69 points. Nice. And I don't actually know what I scored, because I think I was miscounting. The phone says I scored 61 points. After that game ended, I decided I wasn't going to stay for the after party and drove home. The other notable event was around just past Centralia and Chehalis. No, it was before then. It was before Chehalia and Centralis. Centralia and Chehalis. There was a deer on the road, 3-lane road. I was in the middle, and I'm driving. I'm like, what? There was just a deer just clopping along the road really slowly, and I'm going 75. There's a semi right behind me. I can't change lanes to get out of the way of the deer, and there's somebody immediately to my left, so I can't go that way. So I let off the gas, start slowing down, pump my brakes a little bit, and the deer gets halfway into the semi's lane. I pass it, and I'm like checking my side view mirror. Semi apparently didn't hit the deer. So either the deer fucked off, got out of there, or I don't know, the semi swerved or something. I didn't quite see. But that's really scary, you know, at night at almost 9-10 p.m. and almost hitting a deer at 80 miles an hour. But I got home at about 11 or so and passed out. It was a long fucking day, but I had a great time. You know, the moral of the story is just have fun. Who cares if it's a good list? I learned a lot. I've changed the list since. It was for a good cause. We raised over $2,000 for Extra Life. Everybody had a blast. Everybody was laughing, had a good time. It was an amazing event. So thank you, Rick and Norm, Zach, everybody, Stefan and Graham. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for organizing the event. I'll see you guys again real soon. Stay safe, stay warm, support your local businesses and charities, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.